Ban on the export of goods worth more than 11 billion euros. This is one of the new restrictions proposed by the European Commission in the 10th package of sanctions against Russia in connection with its aggressive war against Ukraine. According to the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, such a measure will help to deprive the Russian economy of critical technologies and manufactured goods.
For maximum impact, we're targeting many industrial goods that Russia needs and that it cannot get through backfilling by third countries. Vital goods such as electronics, specialized vehicles, machine parts, spare parts for trucks and jet engines. And we are targeting goods for the construction sector, which can be directed to Russia's military, such as antennas or cranes.
In addition, the new package includes Russian propagandists, along with the political and military leadership of Russia. There are already more than 100 new names on the list for personal sanctions. The European Union is also introducing new measures to prevent circumvention of sanctions.
We will track oligarchs trying to hide or to sell their assets to escape sanctions. And together with member states, we will set up an overview of all frozen assets of the Russian Central Bank held in the European Union. We need to know where these are located and how much they are worth. This is crucial in view of the possible use of public Russian assets to fund reconstruction in Ukraine.
In 2023, Russia became the leader in sanctions program, which were expanded by 42%. More than 11,000 restrictions have been imposed on this country, Voice of America reports. At the same time, the instrument of secondary sanctions has not yet been used. This is when all countries that did not support the introduction of restrictions offer a choice: comply with sanctions and stop cooperation with Russia, or find themselves under penalties and lose access to the EU and US markets.
Secondary sanctions have not yet been used. They are often threatened, but rarely used. Although, let me remind you, they turned out to be fantastically effective, forcing many on the planet at one time to choose between trade with Iran and relations with Western countries. Daniel Tannenbaum, senior researcher of the Atlantic Council, in an interview with the Russian service of Voice of America.
Secondary sanctions are necessary, especially in relation to the military-industrial complex of Russia, according to the Office of the President of Ukraine. At the moment, 168 Russian companies associated with the military-industrial complex are under sanctions. This list needs to be expanded. During a conversation with the representative of the British Foreign Office, Kumar Iyer, who leads the sanctions policy, the head of the Office of the President of Ukraine, Andriy Yermak, stressed that Russia still has money to wage the war. Therefore, sanctions pressure must continue.
We have the initiative to hold a sanctions summit in Ukraine soon with the participation of representatives of partner countries to analyze what has already been done and discuss the next steps. Andriy Yermak, head of the Office of the President of Ukraine.
Economists are also talking about the expansion of sanctions. The more Russian products will be covered by restrictions, the less opportunities to get around the sanctions. Russian assets that were frozen after the start of the full-scale invasion must be seized and transferred to Ukraine.
And this will be a kind of warning for those who firstly support the Russian Federation and for those who are trying to circumvent these sanctions. As for dual-use goods, it is clear that these are, first of all, product tracking schemes and research into the chains that the Russian Federation creates, through all sorts of front companies, through companies that do not formally belong to Russia but are somehow controlled by representatives of Russian assets and the Russian state. This is a very difficult and largely accounting and legal work.
In the 10th package of EU sanctions against Russia, Brussels for the first time included organizations from third countries. Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the European Commission, said that the sanctions package will include 7 Iranian organizations, which, according to Brussels, support Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Iran's Revolutionary Guards have been providing Russia with Shahed drones to attack civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. Therefore, we are now adding 7 Iranian entities to our dual-use regime. They are now under complete ban to sell sensitive items to Russia. And we stand ready to list further Iranian and other third country entities that are providing sensitive technology to Russia.
The EU plans to adopt the 10th package of sanctions already this week, on the eve of the anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Reported by Pavel Stelmach, Natalia Belokudrya, UATV News.